Hello, and welcome to the DDW Meet the Exhibitor podcast, a series of in-person interviews from key industry events. I'm Megan Thomas, multimedia editor at DDW, and this interview has been conducted in the lead-up to SLAS 2025 in San Diego. At SLAS 2025, you will have the opportunity to meet the team from Sphere Fluidics to discuss the company, its products, and key opportunities in drug discovery with which the company can assist. My first guest on this podcast series is Jay Gerlach, VP of Marketing at Sphere Fluidics. Hi, Jay. Thank you for joining me. Can you start by giving me a brief intro to Sphere Fluidics and the products or services it provides?
Sure. So Sphere Fluidics was one of the early innovators in droplet microfluidics, spun out of Cambridge University, has some of the earliest patents in the space, and also is number 3 in the world as far as the number of patents in the space. So has really contributed to the field of droplet microfluidics over the years. We've really reduced that to practice in the Cytomine platform. So this is a fully automated platform that enables us to encapsulate a cell inside a pico droplet, which protects it from the outside environment. It's in there with cell media. We can then do fluorescent detection and measurement and sort the droplets with the cells inside them into different categories, and then we can dispense them as single cells and basically confirm the monoclonality of that dispensed cell as we are dispensing it into a microtiter plate that then goes on for downstream analysis. So we market and sell the Cytomine platform itself, as well as a series of assays that are optimized for the platform. Customers can develop their own assays on the platform as well, but where we have an assay already developed and optimized, that's our recommendation.
Thanks, Jay. That's a great overview to get us started. And so we're obviously all excited for SLAS 2025. Is Sphere Fluidics presenting or launching or showcasing something new this year?
We are, yeah. SLAS is going to be a really big meeting for us. We will be launching the next generation of our Cytomine platform. It's a big step forward. We're basically going to be adding multiplexing to the platform. We previously had 2-color detection, enabling just basic 2-color sorting. We're going to a 4-color, which allows us to look at multiple different markers. So an example being, we can look at the viability of the cell as well as the productivity of antibodies and other things. And importantly, it allows us to start moving into other areas where you absolutely have to have that multiplex detection. So one good example of that would be bispecific assays. So our CTO will be at SLAS in San Diego and presenting on our on the new platform as well as our roadmap for assay development.
Fantastic. Thanks, Jay. And I'll just use this opportunity to remind our audience watching that if you have more questions about this, you'll be able to find the Sphere Fluidics team on the exhibitor floor at SLAS 2025. So Jay, next, I hoped you would share with us what you consider some of the key opportunities in drug discovery and how your company is positioned to help pharma or biotech companies make the most of them.
Yeah, so there's been a real shift over the last number of years within the drug discovery space, kind of from small molecules to biologics. And in 2023, 48% of new drugs in the United States were biologics as opposed to small molecules. And with that shift, of course, that means there's a lot of innovation happening around biologics and different structures of antibodies. I mentioned bispecifics earlier, or nanobodies, or any number of antibody drug conjugates, and just it's becoming an increasingly complex space. And so having tools that allow you to screen an increasingly complex pool of different types of options and do that quickly and be able to get to the best antibody and then ultimately the best cell producing those antibodies is going to be really important. And that's really where we focus our efforts.
A great answer. Thanks, Jay. Another question for you. What are the challenges in the field for pharma or biotech, and how are you positioned to help companies overcome these?
Absolutely. So, antibody screening and cell line development are really problems of scale. Sometimes definitely that scale leads to long timelines, and sometimes it leads to kind of having to define the study up front and maybe make some compromises in how you design the study just due to the scale and the tools that you have. Sphere basically increases that scale dramatically. So, whereas a typical limiting dilution study might look at tens of thousands of cells, we're able to look at millions of cells. And basically, in every single run on the Cytomine platform, we have 2 million droplets going through. And those droplets can either contain single cells or multiple cells. And so the number of cells you're analyzing, depends on the application. But ultimately, we have really huge scale and are able to do, in a matter of hours, what it would take, weeks or months to do with a more traditional method.
That's great, Jay. Thanks. And one final question for you now. What drug discovery and development trends do you foresee in 2025?
Well, I guess looking to 2025, I mean, we've been talking about a lot in 2024, but I think the rubber is going to hit the road in 2025 with the impact of AI on drug development and potentially antibody engineering and things like that. And so I'll be really watching the space of AI in this area. And a lot of the tools have been trained on pretty general, broad data sets. And so you have these foundational models, but then ultimately there's going to need to be very specific data sets created that enable them to answer the very specific questions that they'll need to address, to identify things that are going to be useful. So I'm really excited to keep an eye on that and see what happens in 2025.
Fantastic. That brings us to the end of this Meet the Exhibitor interview. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share it to your drug discovery community and subscribe to DDW for more content like this. If you'd like to hear more from Jay and the Sphere Fluidics team, they'll be available for questions at SLAS2025. See you there.